First on off the bat, House Bill 55 by Representative Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Good morning.
Good morning. So this is the bill about the protective order notarization that I presented last week, and I said I would go back and work and try to move some amendments. I don't remember, staff. Did we release the amendment? Okay, good. I think I said yes on Friday. It's been a long weekend. So the amendment that you all should see already released has to do with referring to the perjury statute as per the conversation we had with Representative Marino and others, that we referenced the proper perjury statute. So that one has been repaired. And Mr. Chairman, do you have the other amendment about how we would?
Yes. So let's start with Amendment 1270, and I think that deals with the. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at 1246. All right, Ms. Smith. There we go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, this is Amendment Set 1246, which is online. It's a set of 3 amendments. Each one deletes the last sentence of the subsection that it correlates with, and which that sentence provides for the punishment of perjury. And instead, it's inserting the language under penalty of perjury pursuant to RS 14-123.
Okay, thank you. And so this was an amendment that we talked about, a couple of the committee members, about having it align and refer to the criminal, the Code of Criminal Procedure or Revised Statute Title 14, as opposed to having a separate reference for that. Correct?
Correct.
All right. Representative Mike Johnson's offered Amendment 1246. You want to any questions on that amendment? No questions. So Representative Johnson has offered up Amendment Set 1246. Any objections to the adoption of that amendment? Seeing none, that amendment is adopted. All right, and I think the next we also have another amendment that I spoke with you about, and that's Amendment Set 1281. And Ms. Smith.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, this is Amendment Set 1281. I believe it's been passed around. The first amendment is technical. Amendments 2, 4, and 6 all require the petitioner to date the petition. And Amendments 3, 5, and 7 require the petitioner to sign the petition before a witness who shall sign and print his name.
Okay. And I had discussions, and I think one of the issues that your bill is trying to resolve is the fact that it's difficult to find a notary. And this, obviously, I think we should be able to find a witness in this case. I did also talk with Ms. Hudnall this morning about the clerks of courts who I think originally we'd said that 7 were not. She had talked with several of those clerks, and I think they are all on board. I think 2 of them weren't, and now they're all on board, and they understand that the law requires that they provide a notary. But again, this bill is not going to require a notary. And if the amendment is adopted, then it would just require a witness to sign and print their name. There's a couple of areas in the law.
So there's still a witness, but it doesn't require a notary. So
correct.
And that's an acceptable amendment.
Okay. Any questions on that amendment? Any objections to the adoption of that amendment? Seeing none, Amendment Set 1281 is adopted. Okay, and on your bill, as
stated last week, the bill is removing the notarization requirement, but we will still have the witness protection. And the reason for this bill is for the many survivors of domestic violence who, their first step is the courage to come forward and and actually ask for that temporary restraining order. So I do believe it will ease the process for them in their already tumultuous decisions that they're having to make to change their lives.
And there was some concern about whether some people have made false allegations even with a notary.
Yes.
Is that your understanding?
Yes, and that's my understanding. And over the weekend, I talked to several different attorneys who represent both sides of these kind of cases. And, sadly, if someone is going to perjure themselves, they generally go all the way to perjuring in front of a judge. So this bill is really here to protect those true survivors of domestic violence and abuse.
Okay. And
I know Representative Marcel probably has a comment as well. She's a co-author on that.
Sure, yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. I just here to support what she just presented and proud to co-sponsor this legislation to help people with domestic violence situations where they would not need a notary in the cases where there was not one available. And I certainly support it, and thank you guys for working with us to add these amendments to make sure that we can get this to the floor. Ask for your favorable passage. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We have a question from Representative Jenkins.
Not necessarily a question, Mr. Chairman, but just want to thank Representative for bringing the bill and your co-sponsors for bringing this bill. And thank you for working with everyone, especially here on the committee level, to make sure that all of the concerns were addressed. So at the appropriate time, I'd move favorable, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
As amended.
Thank you. We have some green cards present and would like to speak. Brandy, Melissa.
You sure?
Good morning.
Good morning. Just state your name and who you represent or yourself.
Brandy, myself, and my deceased mom, who
Okay.
succumbed to domestic violence trauma in 2017. Bear with me, this is not easy at all.
Take your time.
Chairman Miller, committee members, and fellow Louisiana citizens. Louisiana prides itself in being a pro-life state. Being pro-life doesn't, however, end at 40 weeks gestation. Survivors of domestic violence are among one of the many vulnerable populations who are at times unable to defend themselves or speak up. That is where the legislature can help. Passing HB 55 by Representative Aimee Freeman would be a much needed step in that process. Not only was I conceived in sexual violence, I live with severe brain trauma. Brain scans from last year. That hole in my brain literally exists today. From enduring brutal domestic violence in utero. At the age of 6, I also watched my sperm contributor leave my mom to die. We then relocated to Baton Rouge, and it was a grueling process for her to get TROs, then divorced, at which point she was granted a permanent injunction, which I have about 10, 15 pages of right here. That did not stop her abuser from his goal of making her life miserable. However, I owe forever gratitude to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, especially Captain Strickland, who is now retired, and other law enforcement agencies that gave me 25 more years with my mom before she finally succumbed to domestic violence trauma. Thanksgiving Eve 2017. Looking back on my mom's protective order of permanent injunction, it's obvious that even after surviving a domestic violence attempt to murder in 1990, and even with everyone knowing 99% of the 8-foot-long criminal record, my sperm contributor being from crimes against my mom, she had to jump through a bunch of hoops and red tape that was overwhelming and, in my opinion, unnecessary before the order was finalized. Mind you, at the time, my mom had a disabled child, me, and 2 other children to raise, which she did like a champ in spite of her own battles. Sitting in this room, at this table, Ironically, in this very chair is hard, as the last time I was in this committee room on domestic violence, it was to support my mom 6 years ago. She bravely sat here and advocated for legislation to pass. Now it's my turn to do what I, excuse me, to do what I do best for others, as she always encouraged me to do when I came up here. Allowing survivors to affirm first get affidavits makes the risky first step, legal step of escaping abusive situations easier. You already took that notary's thing out, but I'm gonna read this anyway. Notaries are not charged with deciding someone's honesty, and those in true danger should not be punished. I completely agree that people who make false claims about such traumatic experiences should face consequences, but you have more of those who need the ability to affirm than others. Affirmations also have the same legal effect as affidavits do. Let the legal system handle perjury issues for the sake of those like my mom who have documented histories of abuse and or physical signs. If this bill, God forbid, doesn't make it out today, we could have countless more victims end up in the condition my mom currently is. I'm sure y'all can see that box. That's her urn in my apartment right now. And I wish the pain I've endured since the morning I climbed through her living room window on no one. I witnessed in the 34 years, 2 months, and 10 days that I was blessed to have my mom more heartache and effects of trauma from domestic violence than many could handle. I'm open about some, but not everything. On behalf of survivors not strong enough to speak up, please support HB 55 and end the maze of hoops they have to jump through to get the protection they deserve. Thank you for your time, and bear with me through what is so far the hardest day of my life this year.
Thank you, Ms. Brandy, and thank you for your courage and your strength for being here. And again, for your loss, we certainly can't understand how much that is on you, and how much you've lost. So
one more thing I'd like to say, if you don't mind. I watched. Sure. I was out of town when y'all had the committee last week, but when Representative Jefferson said that sometimes you leave with nothing, I don't remember if it was on this bill or 375. The day I watched my dad try to kill my mom. We were in a rural area where we didn't have a phone. They didn't have phone service. The only way my mom escaped was our landlord had a diesel truck and the road was gravel. We lived in the middle of a sugarcane field about 2 hours away from here. My dad, when he was choking the life out of my mom and leaving a rope burn out around her neck that lasted for over 6 months, he heard the diesel truck and ran out the door. I ran outside screaming, and our neighbor that had a phone came outside and asked me what was wrong. When the cops got there, all we could leave with was the stuff on our backs. The next day, they gave her 15 minutes to go get I wasn't physically as independent as I am now. So they gave her 15 minutes to get what she could of ours, including all my assistive devices that I needed. You sometimes do leave with absolutely nothing but the clothes on your back. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you for bringing it up last week.
thank you. Representative Mike Johnson for a question.
Ms. Brandy, what you have done this morning, I've not seen a braver person testify. And what you did this morning, you spoke for thousands of people and your mother, people who can't be here to testify. And I've just not seen that much courage from anybody in a long time. And after having heard you testify, I don't see how anybody can vote against this bill. So your words and your genuineness is a gift to us, and I know it comes at a cost to you, but I just want to say thank you. I'm inspired to do the right thing on this even more, and just God bless you, and God bless you from all of the people that might avoid this because of your courage and bravery.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Representative Aimee for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take a moment and echo what my colleagues have said. Your strength and your courage are going to really be a blessing to so many others, more than you can imagine. And just as a mom, I believe that most every mom who sees and hears this would agree with me when I say, I bet your mom's really proud of you.
Oh, she is.
Thank you for being tireless and coming here all the time and sitting through these long meetings and speaking with us from your personal experience. That's all,
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Amadei. I think that's all the green cards to testify. And again, thank you for being here,
You're welcome.
Ms. Brandy.
Thank you. For
We do have a white card. President would like to speak from Debbie Hudnall from the Clerk of Courts Association. She waives. I think that's all the questions. I'll read the green cards. President will provide information if requested. Green card in support. Mariah Wineski, Louisiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Not wishing to speak, present, and in support, Latasha Davis, Louisiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Not wishing to speak, present, and in support, Peter Robbins Brown, Louisiana Progress. Not wishing to speak, present, and in support, Susan East Nelson, Louisiana Partnership for Children and Families. Charmaine Cassiope, not wishing to speak, present, and in support, United Way of Southeast Louisiana. And then also we have a present and will provide information if requested, for information only, Glenn Ansardi, Louisiana District Judges Association. With that, you can go ahead and close on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and again, Brandy, I commend you for your courage. We all do. So I asked for favorable passage, and it also, can I ask for a co-author sheet for anybody who would like to co-author on the committee? Representative Marino texted me to ask for that. If anybody else would like to join in co-authoring with him, I would love to have co-authors on this.
Sure. Ms. Sanders is going to go ahead and circulate a co-author sheet for anyone who wants to be a co-author. So, all right. With that, we have Representative Jenkins has moved to report House Bill 55 with amendments. Are there any objections to reporting House Bill 55 with amendments? Seeing none, House Bill 55 is reported with amendments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And